Hey, this is Holly.
Hello, this is Christy.
We are a sister duo, and together we have conversations we weren't having anywhere else. So if you've been asking yourself, is this it? Pull up a chair. This is Henlet's Collective. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever your time may find you. We're doing this episode of The Dark Side of Scrolling, and it's pros and cons of social media. And I think we all know the pros and cons of being on social media. I think most of that goes without saying, how it causes so much drama, so much fighting, so much bullying. But, obviously it can bring people together as well. So I want to be transparent. We did record an episode. We were going to post it. We decided to re-record it as we weren't quite happy with the direction it took. So we want to try to keep it more in the lines of, we always try to keep it lighthearted on our podcast, I think, if we can, but also truthful. We like to relate it to our lives because, between you and I both, we've had a lot of life lived. So we can share our experiences, then let's do it, if anybody wants to listen to that. But I mean, honestly though, social media, if it wasn't for social media, you and I would not be here right now recording this podcast, right? However, I know we all know people who either have lost friendships, family over social media, just because of the fighting that can happen on, I'm going to say on paper, but on screen or whatever. And I feel like when people think that they can say whatever they want to say on social media, and two, it brings out the person who you really are. I don't know about you.
I also feel like 5 billion people on the earth use social media. That's over 60% of our entire planet. And an average person does approximately 2.5 hours of scrolling every day. And so when that happens, I feel like sometimes people can lose when you're talking to someone, the expressions, what sometimes the meaning may be behind words. And so, yes, people can be very mean and cruel on social media, but I also feel that people take things way out of perspective with words. Because think about it, when you're texting or when you're talking to someone through emojis, whatever it may be. Do you feel like sometimes your words come across totally different than when you're talking to someone face to face?
Well, both. I mean, when I'm talking face to face, I stumble over my words. When I'm writing it in text, I still stumble over my words, and people always tend to take it the wrong way because you can't put tone into text, right? But yeah, there was an opinion piece that was written back in like 2024 that somebody wanted the Surgeon General to put a warning label on social media because it affects your mental health so bad. Social media, it acts like gambling or even drugs. You get so addicted to it. I'm a prime example of that. I would spend my entire life on social media, and I do spend hours and hours and hours on social media. And yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem. And I become to rely on social media too much. And the way that I'm not a writer in general. And so just like my real life speech, I keep it short and simple. But sometimes I feel like I have to do a bunch more explaining when I do it that way. And it's always taken the wrong way. So now I have to explain myself and feel like I backtrack. So it's a problem. It's a problem. We had the episode of how basically kind of how to adult. What didn't they teach in school? We didn't have social media when you and I were in school. And I don't
No, we had
know.
those little flip notes, those little flippy notes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know how I don't know what's being taught in schools today, whether social media is part of a curriculum or not, because it should be for kids. I
And
know a
what do you
lot of,
mean? Like,
well, I know like a lot of social media sites, well, like how it can be addicting or
mm,
cyberbullying or, how to behave on social media. Now, with that being said, I know that a lot of kids use it for political, kids are really getting into politics nowadays. And some kids are really smart about it and want to really do their research and they are outspoken, but also they may not know how to behave outside of social media, is what I'm saying, right?
agreed. So it is like anything else, though. Social media is our new norm for kids nowadays. Like, when you and I were growing up, we didn't have social media, but now it's the new norm for kids, for teenagers, for pretty much everyone out there. And it really is a matter of teaching our, I guess, families teaching their kids how to behave on social media, how to, conduct themselves. And again, it starts from within your home. It starts from within the home and how parents want to use social media as a tool. And again, I talked about this yesterday when we were recording. So our phones can be used as a tool. Think of it like a hammer, right? A hammer can build a house and it can build a magnificent house, or it can tear a house down.
Yeah.
And so I just really feel that it starts teaching young and teaching the very basics of the etiquettes of social media.
Well, here's the thing, right? So with kids nowadays, they have all these phones, all these gadgets, and because really they need them. I feel like they need them in this day and age. But do parents really sit there and watch what their kids are doing or participating in? And that's
Maybe
the hard
that's the
part.
problem.
Yeah, it's so hard. The way that finances are for most people, both parents, if you're not a single parent, but both parents have to work. They are out of the house. And so kids are have all this time to be on their phones and participate in all these stunts because of social media. I don't know if you've seen those where some kids get tremendously hurt. All these trends that come out with like a cinnamon challenge or a Tide Pod challenge because that's what you see on TikTok or something like that. And,
Right.
I feel like you cannot watch your kids 24/7. You have to instill in them some sense of sanity and common sense, but they are kids. They're going to do what they want to do. And I always want my kids to I want them to be kids. I mean, obviously they're older now, but I always wanted them to be kids and do kid stuff, but I never wanted to see them get hurt. Certainly because of something they've seen that, oh, let's go jump off a building because that's what I just saw on Facebook or whatever. But YouTube is the most popular site with Facebook a second and then followed by TikTok and now all these other social media websites keep popping up and because people are getting more and more creative and finding their people in quotation marks because that's what they are drawn to as far
I
as
guess.
like their group of whatever they're interested in.
So I don't use social media quite like you do. I'm,
Yeah, yeah.
not really in tune to a lot of TikTok or Instagram, or I may watch a few videos and scroll through some reels and a few things, but I just am not as into a lot of the social media things that a majority of people are. However, I will say after talking to Megan and then dealing with Jace, who's, gosh, how old is he? 11, 12? Oh my gosh, 12. Jeez. He really has to watch what she does with him. And I think it's very scary, the fact that sometimes kids can get onto these sites unbeknownst to the parents and watch these horrific things or totally 100% inappropriate things like he was watching. And I feel like we just need to take more of an initiative in people's lives to interact more instead of, I don't want to hear you crying, go watch YouTube or go watch your phone, because it's so much easier than to hear them crying or fighting or what have you. And I get it. Sometimes it's easier to have that peace and quiet. I 100% understand. But as a result, I feel like social media has taken such a presence in, not just young kids' life, but, people who are older, people, everyone in between. And it's an easy way to kind of distance yourself from what we have as our own life, as our way to, I don't even know how to explain it, but kind of separate our life from what reality is, maybe.
Yeah, well, and that's the problem with social media is that's the main con of social media is the mental health because of the excessive use, which translates to inadequacy because you're constantly comparing yourself to these people. For me, I watch a lot of home videos, people at these houses that redo their homes because obviously I'm a DIYer, so that's like what's on my feed. But I also find myself wishing and hoping and praying on a star. How come I'm never going to be like that. I wish I had a home like that. I wish I had money to buy a house that looked like I could redo it. I wish I had $1 million to revamp a bed and breakfast or whatever the case may be. I have a lot of stuff that comes up on my feed on like TikTok and stuff of the Hermes bags in Paris. People spending $30,000 on a purse because they can. And I'm like, I'm never going to have that because one, I'm never going to be in Paris. I'm never going to be in Timbuktu, whatever. Because I'm over here in my little tiny world and I am inadequate and I will never have these things. So it's a mental health issue for sure to have the comparison side of social media.
I agree. There's
But
also a lot of pros to social media, and that's something that I try to use for social media. I try to do positive scrolls on my feed. I try to really just kind of look at family and see what family is doing. And even though I may not have spoken to someone for 5 years, I know what they did in their life yesterday. So I just find it interesting that I know what someone is doing, and it just kind of makes me, I think, appreciate the fact that I know what Chelsea had for dinner, or I see how her kids are growing up because I'm not able to see how her kids are growing up, or with my own daughters, see pictures of birthday parties. And so for me, I use social media as something that I really try to stay positive on, and is that's not for everyone.
well, a lot of people are I mean, a lot of people are drama queens, so they can be addicted to the drama part of social media. But I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lot of pros, being information sharing or especially community building, even the creative expression like you and I are doing now. We're able to do this podcast and it does bring people together worldwide. Like you said, it's how many billions of people. And if we didn't have social media, that would be something that wouldn't be happening. But I think that there's more cons to social media than there is to the pro side of it.
Yeah, it depends on how you use it though. There's I and see and I disagree with that, because yes, there are a lot of cons, but there's also a lot of pros. So I'm just cooking. I watch a lot of cooking videos. I watch a lot of home renovation videos. I watch
You watch a lot
a
of
lot.
cooking videos, but you can't cook.
Well, but I want to, and it gives me inspiration to cook.
That's funny. That's too funny. Yeah, no, and I could see that, but I think people don't have a lot of self-control right now. And there are too many other outlying factors in our lives that make us want to escape realities. So, like I said, for me, just being home by myself all day, every day, I don't, I only have social media. I don't have anybody to talk to. I don't have anybody to go and do things with. So, if that takes my social media, I can at least feel like have somebody that I can talk to. But it's a problem because I need to be out and about. I need to be doing real life stuff. I need to be getting out there and just doing things instead of being behind a screen.
Well, what stops you from that?
Good question. I don't know. I always have excuses, but they're just excuses, and that's never good enough. So basically, it's a self-control issue. And, 5 hours go by and you still haven't even gotten dressed for the day, or you haven't taken the dog out or anything. And now it's 95 degrees and you're not going out anyway. So it's like, it is something that I use it as just as an escape to not have to deal with anything, instead of finding a way to use it for good.
I
Now,
agree, and I use it as a way to decompress from, after work or something like that. So,
yeah, now I a lot of my stuff, I don't know about you, but I am rarely a commenter on anything. I just absorb all the information. So, yes, I'm on all the social media sites, but I'm either just watching videos, looking at the comments, seeing what people have to say. I'm on Twitch, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Discord, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Substack. I'm on all of these social media sites, but I am not actively participating. And you see
that's just
how,
your personality, though.
mm, maybe, but I feel like, and like I said, I think people just like to start drama. And I'm just not that type of person where, just let's just get on with life and let's keep moving. I'm sort of the opinion, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all. But yet sometimes I do leave. Sometimes I am snarky, right? So I can't really use that as a saying.
You've gotten a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. Now, good social media. I am part of this wonderful book club, which is how we got started on this podcast. There's so many good things about social media. And some people really, like you said, you weren't up on all the social media hype and doing all this and that. And for somebody like me, that's how I would rather communicate. So it's a problem. So how do you communicate in real life, or how do you communicate behind a screen? If I didn't have social media, I wouldn't be communicating with anybody, period. It's definitely a mental health. I think mental health is the biggest issue of social media, for sure.
That's the problem, though, with a lot of people, isn't it? Like what we used to, where we used to have to communicate with people, we no longer have to. We can text, we can message, we can do whatever. And now we don't even have to talk to anyone without being able to communicate. And I really think that that takes a hit on our mental depression, anxiety, social skills, whatever that may be. And that
Yeah.
cannot be healthy for people.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how to not stop social media. like I said, I absorb everything social media because that's just how I want to live my life. But also, for me, I have no problem going outside and doing things. Like I love like being outside is my peaceful spot. I'm not on social media 100% of my day for Pete's sake. That's silly. But I could see how people could be, especially when you're addicted to it. Sites that people are making money off of because people are just weird like that. People who use their face and real life content creation to make money. Like, how do you? I don't want to do all that. I don't need to be changing on camera. I don't need to be sleeping on camera. I think that we spend too much of our lives behind the screen, for sure.
I do agree with that. However, how many businesses do you think would suffer without social media?
Oh, I know. That was the other thing I was going to say too, because I was scrolling through TikTok the other day or yesterday or someday. I found, which is actually okay, this is how I found the book club that I'm in currently, right? Because of the person who has the bookstore and she was building it, which is obviously when at the time I was doing this office, so we had similar interests. That's why she had popped up on my thing. And then I went into the bookstore, and then I found the book club, and then I found the other book club, and then yesterday I found another book club that's in town. So now I don't even have to drive if I didn't want to because of my scrolling. And is that an addiction? I don't know, but
I'm going
I'm
to say yes,
just
but
I'm just saying there are good things that come out of scrolling, and you can physically meet people and go do these things because of social media. Because, oh, I found this place on TikTok, or oh, I found this place on Instagram, whatever.
with that, like finding an online community, it really can be life changing. However, you have to be willing once you do that to actually go and kind of be bold and meet people and talk to people.
Yeah, but people with social anxiety, that's a problem, isn't it? They don't want to go out and meet people. They don't know how. Their anxiety is too much for them sometimes to be peopling. And so it's easier to be behind a screen. Like I said, if I go out somewhere and if I'm in a group setting, I very rarely share. And I just want to listen to what other people have to say. But like you said, that could just could be me. But I mean, people with the social anxiety, again, a mental health issue because it is. And I think we need to be more off social media and also off social media, but also all these so-called doctors on social media. Oh, free, come into my live. We're talking about this. And it's like, that's not gonna, it's like
Like,
WebMD. You don't want to
like,
do
what do you
that.
mean? I don't know.
So I've seen like these people who, I mean, and they could really be doctors, but talking about certain diagnoses, ADHD. If you have these symptoms, you have ADHD. If you have this, then you have this disease, whatever. And it's like, no, that's not really the way it works.
My doctor does that online, and he does a lot of podcasts, a lot of social media, a lot of radio shows, and he's a real doctor.
And I'm not saying that they're not, but is he diagnosing anybody? You don't want to diagnose people without actually physically seeing them. One, it's against the
Well,
law, I
don't
would think. But you can be talking about and I know a lot of doctors who do social media who might do case studies on their sites. People who just talk about how they became doctors or but they're not actually diagnosing people. If you have these symptoms,
you
yeah,
can't.
yeah, exactly. And I think
But
that's
I
the
also
problem.
think it's a way for people to kind of it's a trigger. And so a lot of these sites use these triggers to like have certain words or certain phrases that people's like, oh man, that's what I have. And so
It's
then
true.
it's like it gets you like thinking, man, maybe I do need to get that checked out. Man, maybe I do have that problem. And so they're really smart. A lot of these businesses are so smart on how they use these messaging or these social media like triggers to get people to sign up for their programs.
That's so
And that's
true.
all that that is.
I get a lot of like those vitamin things. Oh, these immune boosters, and fine, take them. I don't care. I can eat veggies all day long. I don't need a special immune booster. I take my vitamins. I do everything I'm supposed to do. But yeah, the and I wouldn't call it misinformation, but people are so willing to believe what they hear immediately
Oh,
instead of vetting what it is that they hear. And
that's what these businesses thrive on.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And there's nothing wrong with trying to make a buck, okay? But let's not be snake oil salesmen and, con people into thinking there's something desperately wrong with them. Like you said, a trigger word. And that's exactly what it is. And
That also goes back to how we use our social media and how, because a lot of the things on social media are algorithms on how what pages we go into or what we stay on the longest or
yeah,
and a lot of these algorithms just constantly pop up on our feed because of how we're using social media. And so we really have to be cognizant of what pages we actually click into or what links we actually go into because AI and a lot of these pages and social media like they use whatever they can to keep your attention on what they need to.
well, yeah. And now with everything being on the internet as it is with these days, the ad targeting is horrible. And now it makes some of these ads pop up thinking I have like ads that pop up on my phone. Oh, you have a virus in your phone. You better click this now, type thing. And I could see somebody not paying attention clicking that. Now you really do have a virus.
Right.
And yeah, with the hackers, the that's the other con is really the privacy. Between mental health and privacy, those are the two biggest things that I think are the cons of the consequences of having social media. Nothing is private once you put it on the bloody internet.
I mean,
And
so there's also like healthy habits
there
that I
are
think
where
everyone can do. Limiting your screen time, putting a timer on yourself,
don't put a timer
you
on
know,
me. Okay, mom.
taking breaks from your scrolling,
Oh my God.
you
What
know,
would I do with my
not
day?
I would go nuts if I had to look at social media all day.
I, I need a job. So if I had a job, this would eliminate my scrolling. Now, I say that, but there's like I've already said, there's been a lot of good with my scrolling and some not so good, but I sometimes I try to look at it as good. But I for me, I think it's been an addiction. My phone doesn't go anywhere without me, and I constantly or I'll put my phone down. Oh my God, where's my phone? Where did I put my phone?
It's a
And
problem for a lot of people, though.
yeah, I know, I know.
Have you tried of like doing like a night without your phone or without doing something like that? So I what one habit that I've gotten into is as I'm really rebuilding a lot of things in my life, I have taken I've really consciously have made an effort to put my phone down and concentrate on the things that I need to concentrate on. My relationship, my family, my if I'm going out with a friend or whatever. You see so many people, and I was noticing this. We went out to lunch with Linda the other day, and I was looking around the restaurant and I saw so many people on their phones just sitting across from their spouse or a friend or what have you. And I'm just like, how sad have we become?
I
That
know.
even when we're out to dinner, we cannot put our phone down. And so
I
that's one habit that I have really gotten into is shutting my phone down, putting it in my purse, and taking a couple-hour break so I can really concentrate on what someone else is saying and that I can have just a really meaningful conversation.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. I think it's different for me because I literally have no one. I don't have anyone here. Yeah, Shelby lives here, but she's either sleeping or in her room or at work or out with friends or it's just me. So I don't really have anything to do. But if I do go out, a lot of times I go over to where Shelby's working and go and eat and have a drink, but I will take a book with me. I don't always get a chance to sit there and read, but I like to think sometimes that I have that option of just reading at my table by myself. And I don't really care what anybody else is doing. That's on them. I care about drinking and driving, which is always a problem too. I mean, I know for you personally have witnessed, tragic things happen because people can't put their phones down because they're too addicted to the texting or the live FaceTiming type thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Let me just tell you, can I talk about that story for a minute?
oh, sure.
So, oh my gosh, it was probably the most horrifying thing I could ever say. So when we talk about addictions to their phone, people driving, people not being able to look up from their phones, uh, oh my gosh. We had just dropped Jason's truck off at the shop. We were getting a tire fixed. Coming up on the street, and all of a sudden there was a loud breaking. I didn't actually see it happen, but it was literally seconds. And I think I just wasn't paying attention. Seconds. Someone had, and it's horrifying. Someone was looking down at their phone. A young girl, she was 17 years old on the side of the road on an electric scooter, had slammed right into her, killed her on impact. And the minute I saw that young girl laying on the side of the road, I immediately put on my hazards, ran over to her, and the guy that had hit her, I saw him get out of his car and he was still on his phone. He did not even put the phone down to call 911. We were the first ones to call 911. He was talking to someone else on the phone, hitting her. Are you okay? Are you okay? And so Jason and I were trying to talk to the 911 operator, and during the entire time, it had to have been 10 minutes before the paramedics arrived. This gentleman had not put his phone down. How sickening is that? That we are
Yeah.
so addicted to our phones that that's, I think, our life in a nutshell.
Yeah, unfortunately, technology and social media but I guess that's unfortunately the signs of the time or whatever. And I don't think that's ever going to change. People are going to FaceTime while they're driving now. That can be used for good, for, let's say, insurance purposes or something like that. But that's really not what people use social media for typically.
Right.
They're just doing it because they can and they want to. And, driving is just not even a privilege anymore. It's just become something that, oh, I can drive, so let's go. And who cares about anybody else on the road? But that's beside the point. That's just a little tangent that I think needs to be said because I do find myself like I have my phone right here in my hand, but I've got all my monitors going. I've got 4 monitors because I'm addicted. I don't know if I'm addicted to social media. That's just my life. That's technically how I do make money. That's how I live my life because I am a
Well,
content creator, but I try to use it for good. I certainly am not going to, and I will live stream walking the dog on social media.
but don't you think that's just a little different than people Oh,
I'm not
I don't
using it for
know.
cyberbullying. I'm not using it
Uh,
for misinformation. I'm using it for fun. That's the main reason, for fun. I use it for political information. I use it for, I don't really, I would say info sharing, but I don't share anything. I just absorb the information. And I sure as hell use it for community building. Absolutely. And obviously creative expression. That's what I use social media for. Now, I think that there could be severe changes to how social media is used. Now, I know that a lot of sites will, they have to know the birth date, and now even a lot of social media sites are using like Face ID. You've got to put in your ID, your face, your picture, stuff like that, because they don't want kids on there. They want to try to protect the kids. And I know there's always going to be ways around that, but I'm happy about that. I mean, I don't think, like I said, it's ever going to stop, but at least people try to help protect children.
And I agree with that. And I think that's becoming more and more, it's more and more coming to light. And I think I appreciate that, that people are attempting to protect the kids. And
Yeah.
because, in the beginning of social media, that wasn't how it was. And a lot more kids were harmed and, you know,
I mean, people do use,
targeted.
yeah, people do use social media to target children, and that's, I don't know if it's as prevalent as we might think it is. I really don't know. I haven't done studies on that,
Me
but
either. I don't know
I
if I
I
want
don't,
to.
I can just do my part and know that I will always try to be kind on social media. Like you said, use it for positive and not the negative. Although I only see the negative parts of using social media. What is your main watched, like
My
what's your
main watch
subject
video.
matter?
So
The cooking?
no. Oh, Lord, no. I mean, I love watching the cooking, but animals,
Oh, the animals. Okay.
animals,
Uh-huh.
animals, and like I think I probably told you this, but like a lot of the unexplained stuff. And so I'm really into phenomenons, stuff like that. So I find it interesting. And it's becoming, I think, more prevalent on social media. And the problem with a lot of that is so much of it is AI generated.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
so I get a kick out of elephant videos, dog videos, the stupid monkey eating grapes.
Yeah. Yeah. I what is your most
George,
used
George.
what's your most used website, would you say?
Oh, 100% Facebook Reels.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. For my face, I have
I don't
different things on my different platforms that I watch. So on YouTube, I watch a lot of like travel vloggers, airline reviews, because I love planes. I love everything about planes. I even have my airplane app open all the time on my phone, as I always want to see where people go. How do they get there? What's their, where are they originating from to where are they going? I love watching the flight patterns. I could see where flights are rerouted, but anyways, that's another tangent.
you
Sorry.
need to travel more.
And then on TikTok, unfortunately, my biggest watched videos on TikTok are like cops. I love cops. So I like all the body
You
cam stuff.
you like the man in uniform, Holly?
I just see those dumb drunk videos. It's like these people are just so dumb. Okay. Anyways, another tangent. But Facebook, I have more of the cooking and home reno videos on.
I don't have time to look at all the different.
I just,
I just don't.
yeah, I get it. I don't know. I need a
So,
life. I need a life, and I don't
but
have one.
we just have to ask if is it improving our lives or is it quietly stealing our time,
Oh
you
God, good
know?
point. Good point. I
So,
know it steals my time, absolutely, without a doubt. I could be doing so many more things with my time. and I just I use it as an excuse. I do. I mean,
A lot of people do.
I've done a lot of things to my house because of these videos. And I mean, there is that, but a lot of things I haven't done either. The other one that I use a lot is ChatGPT.
Oh, me too.
I
Me too.
talk to that stupid bot about every single thing that's happening in my life because they're going to see the pattern in my thoughts and the way I write and put it more explicitly to where I can be like, oh, yeah, that's what I meant to say.
I use ChatGPT for everything. Who's
Yeah.
this actor playing such and so or
Oh,
whatever?
how funny.
You know, is this very dangerous? Whatever it may be.
I
I
put it
use
in there about
ChatGPT. I
the
love it.
I put it in there about you. I put it in there about the kids. I put it in there about the dog. I put it in there about this house and all the different every single room has a different tab open. Like the living room with my coffered ceilings or the kitchen, my bedroom. So, I mean, anyways.
It's funny.
Oh, yeah. But regardless. All right. Let's do hen house check-in then. What is one positive aspect of social media that you
So, yeah, so I have a couple. I find social media very much a pro for me. There's very few cons because I choose to look at the pros for social media. I'm just not as addicted to it as, other people.
say other
So one
people,
of the
you meant
pros that
me.
no, not just you, Jason too. He's horrible. He's addicted. And so when he wasn't working hours, anyway, and now it's his Xbox, so it really doesn't matter. So some of the pros for me are being able to see what family is doing, being able to see pictures from my daughter, grandkids, and then also I've been able to reconnect with a lot of our high school friends or childhood friends. And I love being able to see how their life has turned out. And then another thing is, I fill my social media with a lot of positive quotes, a lot of positive pages, a lot of marriage pages, a lot of things that I can scroll through and it's not so negative for me.
I think for me, definitely is the community building and the social aspect of me not being able to get out of the house and I can talk to people and I can call them friends, but I mean, obviously we don't hang out, but I know a lot about their lives. And so I like the aspect that somebody could be in Saudi Arabia while I'm over here in the LA area ish and pretend like we're just on the phone, like having this conversation. What's the one con? What's the one thing you wish you could change about social media?
I really can't stand the way these companies are really targeting people and able even, and again, it's the algorithms, and I know they put the algorithms in there, but I get really tired of, these companies targeting. So if I look at one thing for like weight loss, well, there's 50 more things that pop up for weight loss or what have you. And I just really can't stand that. And then I think the other thing I would change is how young kids try to live up to the expectations of unrealistic media. And so everything that is posted, not everything, I can't say everything. A lot of things that are posted are certain lighting, certain experiences. It's always going to be a good, positive thing. And what they don't see is when the camera's turned off. And I really wish that people would stop comparing themselves to these unrealistic things on social media because it really makes it difficult for body image, self-esteem, a lot of ego, self-control, a lot of different things.
Yeah, yeah. I would change the 24/7 aspect of it. It has infiltrated our lives and ingratiated our psyches to where, like I said, you can't put down your phone because you're scrolling on TikTok or the Facebook or whatever. And there needs to be yes, self-responsibility, but that's obviously, if it's an addiction, a little bit harder than it seems. And it needs to be like, okay, well, you've had your hour, now your phone just shuts off to that website or whatever. I wish they could do it that way. It has affected sleep patterns. People always say, well, I'm a night
Yeah,
owl, and so I do better at night. Well, that may be true, but are you on your screen to where you can't sleep? Because when you have the screen constantly going in your face, your brain is going. It's not ready to shut down. You need to have the circadian rhythm in order for your brain to shut down. And that is a consistent sleep schedule, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. or something like that. Now, yes, there are people who work overnights. We have to have people who do that, but it doesn't matter. There needs to be an 8-hour difference of just not having a screen in your face. And a lot of people work on computer screens for their job. I mean, we can't live without computers. And so now I get headaches quite often. And I know part of it is because I'm on a screen all the time. You and I both wear glasses. You have always worn glasses, but I haven't. And my eyesight is consistently getting worse and worse and worse. And I know it's because I've been looking at a computer screen all these years. So I wish they could change that aspect and have self shutdown timers within those apps.
that's also self-control,
Well, that's what I'm saying. People don't have that though.
you know.
If it was that easy, then. But then I know that obviously these companies would not be making money.
100%.
And that's what makes the world go round, is this bloody money. I guess I could see that too. But at the same time, people just want to get richer and richer. And if that's in your face 24/7, then that's great. But that's what I would change if I could. Well, thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for listening, and we'll save you a chair for next time.
Bye, hens.